Welcome to Implausible Nature, home of competitive Black Templars gameplay. Today we're going to talk about the previewed chapter tactics for Black Templars in 9th edition Space Marine Codex. So as many of you have seen, Games Workshop had a preview video, and in that preview video they talked about the new Space Marine Codex that's going to be coming out in 9th edition here in the next probably month or so. On that video they gave us a really good view of the chapter tactics for all the different chapters in the Space Marine book, including the Black Templars. With that, we did get a little bit of change, and I'll have Alex talk about that change, and then we'll go over a little bit more detailed information about that.
Yeah, so we are keeping our 5++ against mortal wounds, which is great. I feel like that provides a really awesome defense against psychic spells like Smite. We can basically just ignore trying to dispel Smite spells. With that, our odds of saving against that are basically the same as a deny against smite. So that's really good that we're keeping that. And of course, it applies to all mortal wounds. So that's also helpful for other things. But the big change is our rerolls for our assault are changing from being able to reroll any or both dice to just re-roll the charge roll. And this will bring us in line with the re-roll changes from the command point re-roll with 9th edition. They did add another feature to our chapter tactic, which is we get to re-roll advance rolls. So get that free re-roll on an advance roll, which is really nice in my opinion.
Yes, and we're going to definitely talk about that in just a second. But there's a lot of comments out there right now. It's been a couple days since the preview came out, and over different forums on Facebook, Bolter and Changer, there's been comments about this being a significant nerf to our army. So I wanted to go over some numbers with you guys, just so that we have some clarity on what actually is happening with the chapter tactics. So to begin, yes, being able to roll one or both of our dice is a little bit of a nerf to having to be forced to do both with the 9th edition. However, it is only a 9% loss in successful charges at 9 inches. So if you were to not have a single reroll at 9 inches to make that charge, you have a 27.7% chance to make that charge. Not very good chance, 1/4 of the time. That's what most armies are looking at. Now, if you are able to do one or both, you're looking at a 56.9% chance. So that's a little bit over half. It's pretty significant difference between not being able to reroll any of those dice. So huge. However, now we are changed to having to be forced to both. With that, it's a 47.8% chance of making it. So just slightly under 50%. And the difference between the two is just about 9%. So 9% is not that huge of a difference when you're looking at the scheme of things. When our army is being built in the list building stage, you should have quite a few different items that are either deep striking or using the concealed position special rule to get those alpha strike or beta strike charges off on your opponent. So in my opinion, it's not a huge difference. 9% is not going to break your list. It's not going to be that huge of a nerf, especially when we're taking in consideration our new reroll of advance rolls. So with that, we can use those rerolls on advances for a multitude of different units in our lists. Whether it be foot slogging lists to make our units much more agile around the board, which are actually going to be much more impactful on the smaller boards themselves and the altered deployment zones. You can also use those in combination of several of our other combo units that are able to allow us to get first turn charges out. One of which is our Devout Push stratagem combo with namely the Blade Guard veteran squads in the Impulsor. That additional +1 percentage, it's about an extra inch when you re-roll an advance roll, is going to be huge to ensuring that you're getting close to your opponent to make off that devout push charge. It's not really a charge, but to get into that engagement range. Likewise, when you're using the Emperor's Will stratagem on a larger unit or a smaller unit, depending on the army list, you're gaining an extra approximate inch to that advance with that reroll. And then you're going to be able to reroll those charges. So you can compare that to something like Frontline Commander, which is one of our best Warlord traits. So when you take those into consideration, you're looking at a pretty big buff, in my opinion, to our chapter tactics. We lose 9% success rate on our charges, but we gain essentially what is an extra inch every time we advance.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for that. Obviously, the two most obvious things that we can use it for are Emperor's Will and Devout Push stratagems. But in ninth, objectives are really important, maybe more so than they've ever been. And being able to push a unit onto an objective to score that objective or hold that objective or take that objective away from your opponent is really big. And being able to re-roll that advance roll to get that unit there, whether or not you plan to use Devout Push or Emperor's Will, is huge. And we just get it for free. We don't have to spend a CP on it, especially if you know what distance you need to move. If you are trying to move 3 inches or 4 inches, if you know what number that you need on your advance roll to get your unit where you want it to be. For example, if you need a 3, with that reroll, you go from a 66% chance to roll a 3 to an 88% or 83% chance to roll a 3. That's significant. 83% chance to get a 3 is you're probably going to get it. Even if you need a 4, you have a 75% chance to roll a 4, re-rolling that dice. So those are really good odds to get high numbers on your advance rolls. And you can combine this with Frontline Commander to get that extra inch on top of that to make them go even further. I think there's a lot more uses of this than people are not seeing necessarily the big picture. And I think that's because ninth is still very young. We're very much still in the eighth mindset where you're more focused. The objectives aren't as important as they are now. So I think that will help us a lot going forward.
Yeah, Warhammer 40k is a game of inches, and getting even a single extra inch on an advance roll is
It's
going to be
huge.
huge. And that Alex makes a huge good point on that. The game is going to objectives. And back in 5th and 6th edition, the game revolved around tournament play. It was objectives. And that's what was the most important. It wasn't about killing the opponent. It wasn't the kill points. It wasn't all of those extra things. Now it's getting back to that. You want to be in those table quarters. You want to be on those objectives, and they're all over the board, and you need to get to them quickly. And the only way that you're going to be able to get there is with a primarily infantry-based army is to advance, charge, and those extra inches are going to be just massive for you. I really can't stress that enough. This is not a nerf. This is a buff.
Yeah, I think that about wraps it up for this video. I know we had said we would talk about the Indominus units in this next video, but this came out and we felt like it was something that we just needed to go ahead and address right now. Keep an eye out. We will have that Indominus video out next. We're probably going to do it in 2 parts. We're going to do the characters in one and then the units in another. So keep an eye out for those hopefully in the next few days. So if you guys like this video, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe so you can get notified on all the latest updates from our channel. And we'll see you guys next time.